In the next 5 minutes, the majority of your trading problems are going to disappear. Now, given how many problems you're currently facing in your trading, the next 5 minutes are surely worth your commitment, given that the positive outcome of doing what I tell you in this video is likely to last a lifetime. Now, let's think about some of the problems you face right now. Number one, jumping the gun on entries. For example, getting into a trade but realizing you should have perhaps waited for more information. This is a constant battle in trading and one that everyone goes through. Number two, you can make money on any given day, but you then end up giving it all back and more in the future. Again, we've all been there, made a bunch of money, given it all back. Now, as many of you know, I've worked on some of the biggest trading floors in the world, and I can tell you that even professional traders make these mistakes. So does that mean you're doomed? Should you give up your dreams of making it as a full-time trader? Is there even a solution to all of this? Of course there is, and the crazy thing is, it's staring at you right in the face. In fact, in this video, we're going to spend no more than a few minutes using real data and actual actionable steps to show how you can overcome these obstacles and many more in your trading and start to instantly see results more in line with what you thought they would be when you first started in trading. Now, the first thing to understand and accept is that professional traders in places like banks are approaching things very differently to amateur traders, perhaps like yourself. Let's look at a real example of that. Now, this is an economic data calendar that I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Let's have a look at it together. Now, on the left hand side, you can see here a common retail website. Nothing wrong with it. It's got pretty much everything you need. The problem is it's got too much. Just look at how much information potentially you yourself, I mean, majority of retail traders, let's be honest, this is what they're doing. So much data, and that's just on one day. This is one day and this is another day. Now, just think about how difficult it is to trade like this. It's almost like, imagine going to a party and there's 5 people there and they're all trying to have a conversation with you at the same time. Go and try doing it yourself. They're all talking to you at the same time, you're trying to have a conversation and you're just completely lost. That is basically what you're doing when you're looking at this. Just a constant flow of data, very confusing, reasons to trade when there aren't any. Look at the difference compared to the right hand side. What we see on the right, it's like night and day. Okay, this is what professional traders are doing. They're still capturing data, but they're doing it in a much more professional manner. What exactly does that mean? Well, look, this is just 2 days we've got here on the left hand side. This is almost a month in the same space. It's incredible. So the irony is they're actually looking at a lot less data, which allows them to actually look at that data in a lot more detail, which is significantly more effective if you think about it for your trading. Now, how do we actually do this, right? I said to you, you can have some actionable steps. So one of the first things I'll be doing is I'll be going in here, and majority of retail traders looking at too many currencies or pairs or countries. I typically tend to focus on one. Okay, so what that does automatically is going to reduce, you've almost got a week now on one day, so that's already reduced the amount of information you're looking at by 50%. Let's reduce it by another 50%, get rid of these low impact events. Okay, completely irrelevant. You just need to observe them to know that they're completely irrelevant. And now look, we've got almost a whole week on half a page. That's less than 10% of the amount of data we had on here before. So now we're actually getting somewhere. Now, even that, I would say a lot of this is irrelevant. I mean, on this particular week, you can see I've got absolutely zero data here that I will be observing, and you've still got quite a bit over here. So one of the things you've got to realize, right, and the reason for this is, if you actually think about markets, for significant periods of time, they can move in one direction, right? So it could be a month, as we've seen with many markets recently, for 1 month, 1 week, typically 1 week, 1 month, they're going to be moving. It's going to be 1 or 2 individual events over the whole month that is going to change the direction. So that's all you care about, right? You only care about events that actually are going to impact the market and change the entire direction of the market. Otherwise, who cares? Because the market's moving in one direction, so a lot of it's irrelevant. So majority of the data in this particular week is not going to change the direction of the market, right? Let's have a look at the following week. So what we'll do, we'll just expand this slightly. So we're going to go now and have a look at the following week, right? Now the following week actually does have some data, right? It does have some data here that I have captured here in this area. So still less pieces of data in terms of 3 compared to around 12 or 15 here. So we can still reduce it dramatically, but these pieces of events are likely to be impactful on the market. Let's have a look at them. Things like the jobs number, potentially manufacturing, but not so much. That's why I've got them in a slightly different color. But the jobs number, absolutely massive, could potentially move the market and then keep it moving in a different direction for a week, 2 weeks or so. So can you see, I really only need to focus on 1 or 2 pieces of data in that week. And then finally, we can have a look at just as one more example, we can have a look at the following week. Again, I wanted to give you actionable steps. These are things you can be doing that all professional traders are doing, is really going through and make your life easier. I'm not making your life harder. In fact, I'm making it easier. So there's really only, in my opinion, one piece of data here, the CPI, and you can see it here. So we can get rid of the majority of this, and we've just got, in the entire week, I'm looking at one piece of data. So ask yourself honestly, how many of you are actually organizing yourself like this, taking the time, maybe 15, 20 minutes a week to do this? Just think about it. It's not only here, but also in your workplace. How many of you are actually organizing your week before you go to work? 99% of people don't do it. That's why they don't reach that pinnacle, right? The very, very top. Usually it's only one person who becomes a CEO. And it's no different in trading. It's usually only one person out of several hundred and maybe several thousand that actually goes on to achieve consistency. And I'd actually say it's one in less than that. But that's because the majority of people give up very, very quickly because they just get completely confused and overwhelmed. And no surprise, you saw how much pieces of data typically retail traders are looking at. So there's also another advantage, right, of doing this, being succinct and maybe just looking at one piece of data. Remember, this is an entire week here. One piece of data an entire week. It's going to keep you more motivated to actually study that piece of data. When you've got 20 pieces of data, you're not going to be motivated to actually study it to the sort of level required to be successful in the markets. Now, this actually has other major benefits, right? So you become more organized, not only in trading, but start to get you more organized in your day-to-day activities outside of trading as well. But more than that, people talk about emotions in trading. Can you imagine if I'm just looking at one piece of data in an entire week? Just to remind you, this is 1 week, right? This is an entire week, one piece of data. Or if I'm looking at, as you saw before, maybe 15 or 20, I'm going to be a lot less paranoid when I'm trading, right? So when I say paranoid, I'm talking about emotions. How many times are you paranoid? Should I take the trade now? Should I not? Oh my God, I got this data, that data. I'm not worried about those things. My emotions, I'm not relying on psychology books to solve my emotions. I'm relying on real sort of financial market effects, things that are in front of me that you can see, to help reduce some of those emotions. Now, just finally, I talked about a couple of the problems that you might have at the start, entering into trades too early or having winning days and then giving it all back. You can see how this philosophy is going to help you if you start to apply this sort of organization, not only here in terms of your data, but also to your charts, and start really thinking about what on your charts you need and probably what you don't. And what you probably recognize is a lot of the things you're looking at, you don't actually need them. Now, just before you go, I know that this is not an A plus B equals C kind of solution that 99% of people are looking at, right? Most people come on YouTube, they want things that are just going to say, hey, if I do A plus B, if I join these two dots together, when it breaks, oh yeah, I go long. no offense, you're completely delusional if you think that is going to make you money, because that's what 99% of people are doing. Are they making money? No, they're not. Start doing what the 1% of people are doing, which is this. It's not very difficult. I'm showing you how to get started. If you want to know how you can also apply this type of philosophy to your charts, check out this video on screen right now. I can't wait to see you again on the other side.